Hey viewers, welcome to my orchid world. In this video, both me and you are going to explore something very special and very interesting. Since we all are orchid lovers, this episode is also on orchids, and we are going to a very special place where we will see orchids everywhere. This is the state of Meghalaya in the northeast of India, where there are more than 300 species of orchids found. On one side, where there is habitat destruction of orchids along with other states. Also, on another side, people here are very much aware of orchids and their use and their contribution to the ecosystem, and their small contribution where they make their own contribution. They construct habitats for orchids and rehabilitate them. We are going to see all of them. You can see there is a small construction made by local people there. It is a small construction, small shade house where orchids have been planted, and there are different types of orchids that have been planted. There are terrestrial orchids, there are epiphytes which have been mounted on bamboo and branches of trees. In this way, they try to rehabilitate the orchids. Many orchids which are found in Meghalaya are endangered due to habitat destruction, and local people there are trying their best to save these orchids. In Shillong, I got a chance to visit the Shillong Orchidarium established by the government, where there are more than 200 species of orchids collected from all over northeast India. There are a lot of research going on in this orchidarium, and on display there are many orchids. There are many rare and endangered orchids. Also, common type of orchids that are found everywhere in the northeast of India are also displayed. Orchids are mounted on branches, on felled trees, and they have been kept very close to nature so that they can grow naturally and according to the proper environment where orchids need to grow. As you enter, it is a very big area where you have to start either from the left or from the right, and you can see orchids all everywhere. There are different mounting options that have been displayed. You can see them and you can make them yourself. It is very easy to make. There are many orchids which have been blooming and many orchids which are not in bloom right now because it is midsummer, and hence many orchids have already finished blooming. The plants are there. You can see terrestrial orchids, all type of orchids are on display. You can see epiphytes. Orchids are also growing on rocks, that is, they are lithophytes, and everywhere, wherever you look, there are orchids everywhere. There are hybrid orchids also. I must say that the orchidarium is quite clean and have been maintained very well. On entering from the left side or the right side, you will see many orchids which are currently in bloom. The main purpose of collecting these orchids and displaying here in orchidarium is to preserve them, save them from hunting, and save them from encroachment, from getting endangered and from becoming extinct. There are many Paphiophyllums, there are many Vandas, Phalaenopsis orchids, there are Dendrobiums everywhere. You can see Cymbidium aloifolium, some rare orchids, some rare Vanda orchids are on display. When I asked the caretaker, he said that they do sell few orchids, and I also will show you. I bought 3 orchids from this orchidarium. The price is very reasonable. You can also buy them. Vandas, I had asked him and he said it is almost 500 to 600 rupees. And one orchid which is usually very costly in commercial websites of orchids Here I got it at a very cheap price. Most of the orchids are hung from the frame that have been installed overhead. Many rare orchids and few of the orchids which already have bloomed, they had formed seed pods. The caretaker told me that the seed pods are mainly used at the backside of the orchidarium for research purpose. They are also into flask germination, where seeds are germinated in a very controlled and sterile environment. Normal people are not allowed to go there into the research laboratories, which is very obvious. The main focus I focused on was on the different types of mounting that they have been done. It was very interesting and very exciting to see new methods of mounting the orchids, where multiple orchids were mounted on a single branch. Different type of orchids were mounted. Some pots were bought from the market, like this plastic one, and some were made by the people inside the orchidarium. Like one plastic net which was there, it was shaped into a pot, and coconut husk was put inside, and which formed a mounting option for them. And here I saw this kind of double and triple pots. I never knew this kind of pots were there. Also, they used wires, they used mesh to form the mounting options. They used coconut husk one above the other, like they had sewn it into one part and then mounted vandas into that. So wherever you see, there is something new for you which you may not know from before. And there have been bought pots also. One very interesting thing, one very interesting plant which I had in my mind to visit this orchidarium was the very endemic pitcher plant of Meghalaya, which is not found anywhere else, is the Nepenthes khasiana. This plant has got its name because it is found only in the Khasi hills of Meghalaya, and that's why the name khasiana comes. So if you see this kind of mounting options, these are very easy to make. You can make it at home using coconut and coconut husk. I also wanted to see Paphiopedilum blooms, but they were not currently in bloom, because the Paphiopedilums that are collected here are very beautiful, and some are very rare. And you can see something very interesting is that together with orchids, there are other flower plants as well. I hope there is some symbiotic relationship with the orchids of these plants. That's why they have been planted here. There are also ferns that have been potted and kept near the orchids. One very dear plant which was on my wish list was the blue vanda orchid. You can see the blue vanda orchid here. It is not in bloom, but the caretaker did tell me that there are several blue vanda plants which is very rare and endangered. They collect it from the forest, and for research purpose they have license to do that. That's why they are allowed to collect the blue vanda orchids from the forest. They do a lot of research on that. They also work on propagating these orchids so that they are not endangered anymore. They propagate them and then again plant it back in the forest. So in this way they multiply their number so that they do not become extinct. In this way the orchidarium, and there are many orchidariums in other parts of India as well, and one is there in Arunachal Pradesh in Tippi, where I am planning to go next, and I'll make a separate video on that. That is a very big orchidarium. Hopefully that I think that is the second largest orchidarium in India, and these orchidariums are contributing significantly to the orchids and propagation of orchids to make them more common, more easily growing on plains, and also encouraging the general people, the public citizens, to grow orchids, know about their culture, know about their growth habits, and so every household has orchids, and they know the significance of orchids, so that they are not endangered, they are not collected from the wild for business purpose. This has been going on all over entire India, which is a very, very sad thing, because orchids do contribute significantly to the ecosystem, and they are actually they indicate the condition of the weather of that particular place, and hence their contribution to the ecosystem is very, very significant. You can see the Nepenthes khasiana plant. It has one bloom. I asked the caretaker, because I never had seen the Nepenthes khasiana plant. This is a carnivorous plant. The bloom, it opens, it is not mature still now. When it is matured, it will it has a lid kind of thing, and when it has to have some food, it opens that lid, and insects, when it come inside, the lid gets closed and the insect is digested inside the food. So in this way this plant gets nutrition. It is a carnivorous plant. Along with the orchidarium, I had visited few other spots because it was a family trip, and the spot called Shillong Peak, where you can see the entire city from atop a hill. There were some people selling orchids collected from the wild, which was very, very sad thing to see, and I thought I should collect all of them, because see the condition they have collected it. They have just torn it from the wild, and some got torn, some leaves got torn, stems got torn. So I thought I should collect all of them, and you know, they just wanted to make money, and they were giving it at a very cheap price, say 100 to 150 rupees per orchid plant. It was a huge. Some orchids were in buds. You can imagine, some dendrobium orchids were in buds. So I thought I should, rather than business purpose, I should collect them, and I am planning to mount these orchids at various places, so that these orchids grow naturally in natural conditions. I still have to identify what are the orchids. Most of them are dendrobium orchids. One of them is climber. It is not an orchid. It is called lipstick plant, and hopefully I am correct. So these orchids altogether, it cost me around 800 rupees, but I have bought all of them so that they do not fall in wrong hands. And see this bunch, this big bunch, they are giving it at 100 to 150 rupees. So they just have to make money. They collect it from the wild, they sell it here, because people come here and people buy these orchids. That's why some people even make business out of it. They buy it at very cheap price, say 100 and 150 rupees, as I said, and they go back and sell at very high price, 800, 900, 1200, 1300, 1500. This kind of prices they quote for these small plants. So it is necessary for these plants to be protected, to be recovered, so that they can grow in the wild. And so that's why I am planning to mount all these orchids in forests in the coming days. I have already brought them with myself, and hopefully you will support me in this act and help me with your support. The way these people are handling the orchids shows that they are not very experienced in handling orchids, because see how they are tearing the roots apart. They do not know how to grow, or the root culture of the orchids, how they grow. An orchid that was on my wish list is the Bulbophyllum leopardinum, which I had bought 9 years back from Shillong, but it did not survive. I got this orchid at a very cheap price. The whole big bunch was about 100 rupees, and these were the two main orchids that I wanted to buy, and I got it luckily. Inside the orchidarium I saw this branch which was decorated all over with orchids. This way also you can take a branch and mount your orchids on it, and it looks very nice, very aesthetic. So let me know how you like this video, and also if you get a chance, do visit the orchidarium.